Yo, welcome back to Robbing Minds. And now we're going to change gears and perhaps share some secrets to how you can build a successful business. Because building a business can be a lonely experience, especially for young entrepreneurs who are trying to figure things out while dealing with the everyday challenges of running a business. I mean, beyond funding and having a good business idea, the people entrepreneurs meet, learn from, and build relationships with can play a major role in their growth. And this conversation will explore the importance of creating safe spaces where founders and entrepreneurs can openly discuss the challenges of building businesses, share experiences, learn from one another, and find opportunities for a collaboration. We'll also look at how meaningful networking goes beyond just exchanging contacts at events and how the right relationships and communities can open doors to new partnerships, customers, mentorship, career opportunities, and business growth. We'll also look at the role of networking events and experiences in bringing entrepreneurs together and whether these spaces are actually helping young business owners navigate the realities of entrepreneurship. Well, joining me now to look at the power of networking and how connections can drive entrepreneurial growth, Seyi Olaniyan is here. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
It's very good to have you here, man.
Thank you.
I mean, I also know that you run other businesses. How's business these days?
I mean, I had to just seize that breath. I can say that yeah, of course, it's amazing, but of course, we're currently in a phase where things seem to be, pretty shaky. But of course, you have to nonetheless be optimistic regardless of the storm. So it's been
and that's the importance of this conversation, because when entrepreneurs start business and they go through these sort of shaky periods now, who are they speaking to? Where are the spaces for them to talk about challenges that they're facing?
So, I mean, I always say it. I think entrepreneurs are like firstborns. They bottle up a lot of things inside them, and because they feel like they are more solution driven. So, and they always think of what's the first thing I need to do or think about, So they like to solve the problem by themselves. They like to bottle up some of the problems and think that they can be the Spider-Man of their, of themselves. And sometimes, it's always very overwhelming when you don't have space where you can go to share with and run to. Because, I mean, there's a saying, a problem shared, problem solved. Not all problems shared anyways, but sometimes it helps you it makes you lighter because, you're able to, speak to people that are going through what you're going through, that they have gone through what you are going through, and you're able to see different POVs on how they manage how they manage the situation that they will probably were in or they are in. And you are seeing that, okay, if you have done it this way, if you are doing it this way, it will make sense for you to actually make a better decision on that things that you're going through. So, basically, I think it's also very important that founders understand that aside from, being the tough man from the right spot, there are communities, there are spaces, there are places where you have to be that are very essential for your well-being. I always say that, and one of the events that we do, which I always say is like a therapeutic session, for people, for your founders, that are creating business in this current economy, because business in last 10 years and business now, there are two different phases because you are facing a lot of factors, from hiring to the economy change, to so many things that are probably just fighting you, here and there. And it's also very important for founders to be able to, collaborate with each other and be able to also share problems with each other so they can equally solve it together.
So a lot of young people are founding businesses now. A lot of bright young people have great ideas, they get funding, they go into the world of business, and they find that it's cutthroat. You've mentioned all the economic factors that might work against them, or it might even work in their favor. Just give me a bit of a rundown. What are like 2 or 3 common issues you hear a lot of young people who are starting businesses encounter lately?
So first, of course, which is the key, the hiring, people management. I think that's one of the major things everybody go through.
Are we blaming Gen Zs for this?
I don't want to start. I think if I start on that, we are not going to end this conversation. But I think essentially, to be very honest, I think it has to deal with, again, it comes back to the current the revolution of how will I explain it now? The revolution of the current hiring phase.
Yes.
You know, of course, from Gen Z to millennial, and different attitudes towards work, and largely, I think it all boils down to different organizations and different strategy and to which they are trying to navigate their day-to-day activities. But aside from people's management, of course, cash flow, because essentially when you saw people's management, which I believe even the biggest organization up to date are still figuring it out, you are, you know, making sure that you are very realistic with yourself with cash flow. You know, don't be swerving the revenue. Be more intentional about what's the profit. You know, with all of these millions of naira that you're generating for your business, what is the company holding on to that is your money, not just, you know, the actual revenue. And I think those are the two, I believe those are the two key, you know, when you serve the people, because you need an actual key members for your team to actually make the team even make money.
Yeah.
Now, when you have those key people that have the right attitude for the company to succeed and take it to where they can take it to, then you actually need to be very, very, very stern with your income, which is very important, and not be swerving the revenue and the numbers, you know, because it's very easy for founders, especially young ones, to say, oh, we made 1 billion naira 1 billion this year, and the take home may be lesser than 50 million.
They get carried away. Indeed. And to the point of young people getting into business, we see a trend now. People get into paid employment for some reason, and then they say, look, it's not for me. I'm tired of working for somebody else. I, too, can become my own boss. Why do you think that trend is picking up fast? And when they get into the world of business, how they go about things is, like you mentioned, is vastly different from what things were 10 years ago. Can you highlight some of those differences?
I always say, I spoke at an event a couple of days back, and I said, I always advise anyone that wants to go into business to serve with people, rather, you know, try to work in an organization to have an idea of how does this work? Is this something that I will love to do, or am I just doing it because I'm bored, or at every slightest inconvenience, you know, which everybody is going to now? Almost everyone are content creators and influencers. You know, again, I don't have anything against them, but I think it is out of laziness and out of, how will I explain it now? Yeah, I will call it laziness, and I will say why. You know, when a small challenge, you know, you are given a task, you know, whatever task it may be, and you could not challenge yourself to get it done. Now, that's the slightest inconvenience for you. And you just feel like, I don't think this is my pace, my place. I don't think this is for me. I don't think this is for me. The next thing you start doing, you carry a phone, a camera, and light. You turn yourself to a creator. Now, how many creators are we going to start producing if we stop producing actual people that will do the job? Because who will now eventually be your clients in the future if there are not people that are working in those organizations to make sure that you as a content creator have what's it called, brief that you're going to work on to give you money. And it's alarming, because the number of people that is more like dropouts from school. The number of people that drop out from an actual you know, employment, just because you can easily grow numbers on TikTok, on Twitter, and when you have a proper conversation with them one-on-one, you realize they're not as smart as you thought they are. And it's because they are not sound, because they are hindering themselves from the process to become the matured, you know, how would I, talent that they ought to be. So rather than that, they hinder themselves from that opportunity to learn, to groom themselves, to mature, to become that person they are supposed to be. So when they go into the world to manifest, you have the capability to explore.
And I also understand that you hinted at this earlier, that there are spaces that you've created to help people come together and have all these conversations about it. I believe it's called Founders Rant.
Yeah.
I like the name, because it means people
just come and rant. You know,
it's just
like I always say, like a therapeutic room. You know, it's a place where you just come. I remember the first edition we had a founder that was crying. Like, everybody had to be hugging him.
Is that deep?
Yes, it was that deep. You know, just like, just come, you know, come and take hug. And it was because, again, like I said, founders, people see the facade of, oh my God, you're driving this car, you look this good, you're making money, but they forget the sacrifice that comes with it. A lot of founders are dealing with probably health issues, sacrifice their family. It's a long-term game. They have been working for the past 20 years. And you think that, oh, this person has this money, but, it's playing a long-term game. So it's a space, of course, it's from my own understanding, because while I was in, university, I attended a lot of conferences a lot, and I realized that even when I became, a business person, which is a founder, there's no particular room, there's no space where you can easily be you. You can rant, you can meet with people that are going through what you have gone through, or that are going through what you're going through, to tell them the problems you're facing. And we have a lot of smart founders that they don't have the opportunity to be able to express their how will I explain it, their situations to people that are going through what they're going to, be able to learn from them and to be able to even feel light. Because when you are holding on a lot of things, you feel so heavy. You don't know how to navigate things.
And may even affect decision making.
Exactly. So that's basically why we created, and it affects decision making. You're right. And that's why we created this space. For people to be able to say, you know what, let me come in here. While I'm networking, I'm also here to be able to share my problems. I don't know who's going to solve it, but I know that at least let me share it first, then solution will come afterwards.
Excellent. And I wish you all the success with Founders Rant, media and brand strategist, Seyi Olaniyan. Thank you for coming on Rubbing Minds this afternoon.